Hey there, welcome to another episode of Blake's Everyday Podcast. So, some what I'm gonna try to do. Let me restart that. So, today I decided to take my first step into sobriety. I'm gonna try, uh, see see what happens here. I know I still got few months, well, a couple months till we get to August, which is when I absolutely need to be sober. But I don't know. Something just told me last night that I needed to step away. So, so it's probably only been like 18 hours since my last drink, but we're getting there. Um, I'm drinking some like bubbly stuff or whatever they call that crap. Tastes like trash water. But but another cool note is that we are 2 chapters away from finishing Second Samuel. So that's what we're gonna try to get done right now. Is we're gonna try to go ahead and finish the book of Second Samuel. So that'll be good. And then after that, I believe we'll move on to First Kings. So yeah, but yeah, first day. I'll keep you guys updated. We'll see how if I'm able to keep it going, or if I decide to have a drink here or there or whatever. Here's the thing about me. I Well, first of all, I prayed about it this morning, and I've talked to God about giving me a hand on this. But the thing about my drinking is it's not like I never felt like I was addicted. I never felt like I couldn't go a day without drinking. I didn't never have the shakes or anything. I've never been that far into it. I've never, you know, but I have drinking consistently probably almost every day for the last 10 years. So, and 10 years ago, it probably would have been beer, just drinking some light beers. But, as the course of time has come on, you get into drinking heavier stuff because the beer doesn't really get you to that buzz feeling or anything like that. So, eventually, I was dieting and I had to stop drinking beer, and then somebody told me that whiskey had no carbs. So I switched to whiskey, and I've been stuck on whiskey for probably 6 or 7 years. So I've just been drinking a lot of whiskey for the past 6 or 7 years. Well, probably not 7. It's probably closer to 6 because yeah. Anyways, but I never felt like I was, addicted to alcohol. But I also didn't want to go a day without drinking, but I could have, I know I could have, but I'm making that change today. I'm doing it. I'm gonna get it done. I feel like right now, I feel even better. Even though it's only been 18 hours, but I'm not fogging my brain all up or anything. I feel like I'm having a good conversation right now. I feel clean headed in a way, which, we'll see where things go. I definitely don't want to do another drink or anything until after, the school ministry. And even at that, it just being like something small and simple, just with if I'm around a couple buddies, a beer or two would be fine. But like, I definitely wouldn't be going all out ever again. I've uh, been going through some whiskey now. Uh, so for the past 2 to 3 years, I've been probably going through about 3 handles of whiskey every 2 weeks. So it's a lot of alcohol, and it's definitely time for me to make that step, and really put myself in charge of let God help me out here and get through this. And I feel like the more that I put in His hands, the more at peace I'll be with myself, and the better my life will be. And I think this is something that truly needs to happen, and it's not like I had my moments, but I've never been a bad guy, I don't think so. Well, other than the times that I've gotten belligerent and fought people. But, after all that, I've been pretty solid for the past 2 years. So, but it's time, it's time to grow up. And nothing wrong with that, right? So, all right, chapter 23, David's last words. These are the last words of David, the inspired utterance of David, son of Jesse, the utterance of the man exalted by the Most High, the man anointed by the God of Jacob, the hero of Israel's songs. The Spirit of the Lord spoke through me. His word was on my tongue. The God of Israel spoke. The Rock of Israel said to me, when one rules over people in righteousness, when he rules in the fear of God, he is like the light of morning at sunrise on a cloudless morning, like the brightness after rain that brings grass from the earth. If my house were not right with God, surely He would not have made with me an everlasting covenant, arranged and secured in every part. Surely He would not bring to fruition my salvation and grant me my every desire. All right, sorry about that. Surely He would not bring to fruition my salvation and grant me my every desire. But evil men are all to be cast aside like thorns, which are not gathered with the hand. Whoever touches the thorns uses a tool of iron or the shaft of a spear. They are burned up where they lie. These are the names of David's mighty warriors. Joshua Basebeth, a Tekomonite, was chief of the 3. He raised his spear against the 800 men whom he killed in one encounter. Next to him was Eliezer, son of Dodai, the Ahite. As one of the 3 mighty warriors, he was with David when they taunted the Philistines gathered at Pas Dammim for battle. Then the Israelites retreated, but Eliezer stood his ground and struck down the Philistines till his hand grew tired and froze to the sword. The Lord brought about a great victory that day. The troops returned to Eliezer, but only to strip the dead. Next to him was Shammah, son of Agi, the Hararite. When the Philistines banded together at a place where there was a field full of lentils, Israel's troops fled from them. But Shammah took his stand in the middle of the field. He defended it and struck the Philistines down, and the Lord brought about a great victory. During harvest time, 3 of the 30 chief warriors came down to David at the cave of Adullam. while a band of Philistines was camped in the valley of Rephaim. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the three mighty warriors broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out before the Lord. "Far be it from me, Lord, to do this," he said. All right, so where was I? "Far be it to do this," he said. "Is it not the blood of men who went at the risk of their lives?" And David would not drink it. Such were the exploits of the three mighty warriors. Abishai, the brother of Joab, son of Zeruiah, was chief of the three. He raised his spear against 300 men, whom he killed, and so he became as famous as the three. Was he not held in great honor than the three? He became their commander, even though he was not included among them. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, performed performed great exploits. He struck down Moab's two mightiest warriors. He also went down into okay, buddy. Yeah. Dang it. He struck down Moab's two mightiest warriors. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. And he struck down a huge Egyptian. Although the Egyptian had a spear in his hand, Benaiah went against him with a club. He snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Such were the exploits of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. He too was as famous as the three mighty warriors. He was held in great honor than any of the 30. But he was not included among the three, and David put him in charge of his bodyguard. Among the 30 were Asahel, the brother of Joab, Elihanan, son of Dodo, from Bethlehem, Shammah the Harodite, Elika the Harodite, Helez the Palatite, Ira son of Ikesh from Tekoa, Abiezer from Anathoth, Sibbecai the Hushathite, Zalman the Ahohite, Mahariah the Netophathite, Heled son of Bana the Netophathite, Ithai son of Ribai, I'm saying Ribai, I don't know how to pronounce that, from Gibeah in Benjamin. Benaiah the Pirathonite, Hiddai from the ravines of Gash, Abi Album the Harbathite, Asmaveth the Barhumite, Eliabah the Shalbanite, the sons of Jonathan, son of Shammah the Harodite, Aham, son of Sharar the Harodite. All right, sorry about that. Eliphalet, son of Ashabai, Ahasbai, the Machathite, Eliam, son of Ahithophel, the Gilonite, Hezro, the Carmelite, Harai the Arbite, Igal, son of Nathan from Zobah, the son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Naharai the Beerothite, the armor bearer of Joab son of Zeruiah, Ira the Ithrite, Gareb the Ithrite, and Uriah the Hittite. There were 27 in all. Okay. I don't think we have a description for chapter. Okay, we do have one description here for chapter 23. Chapter 23, verse 5. Though all of David's ups and downs, God had stood by him. Early in David's life, God had promised that David would father a dynasty that would rule forever. There must have been times when David wondered if that would ever happen. He had seen his kingdom crumbling and his sons tearing each other apart, but he knew that God could sustain his promises. Here, near the end of his life, David's faith was still strong. Even now, David's God promises hope and forgiveness for us. We can be sure, no matter how bad things may seem at times, that God is faithful to his promises. All right, so now we are moving on to chapter 24. This is the last chapter of 2 Samuel. David enrolls the fighting men. Again, the anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, "Go and take a census of Israel and Judah." So the king said to Joab and the army commanders with him, "Go throughout the tribes of Israel from Dan to Beersheba, and enroll the fighting men, so that I may know how many there are." But Joab replied to the king, "May the Lord your God multiply the troops 100 times over, and may the eyes of my lord the king see it. But why does my lord the king want to do such a thing?" The king's word, however, overruled Joab and the army commanders, so they left the presence of the king to enroll the fighting men of Israel. After crossing the Jordan, they camped near Aurora, south of the town and the gorge, and then went through Gad and on to Jazer. They went to Gilead and the region of Tatim, Hachi, and on to Dan Jan, and around toward Sidon. When they went toward the fortress of Tyre and all the towns of the Hivites, the Canaanites, finally they went on to Beersheba and the Negev of Judah. After they had gone through the entire land, they came back to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. Joab reported the number of the fighting men to the king in Israel. There were 800,000 able-bodied men who could handle a sword, and in Judah 500,000. David was conscience-stricken after he had counted the fighting men, and he said to the Lord, "I have sinned greatly in what I have done. Now, Lord, I beg you, take away the guilt of your servant. I have done a very foolish thing." Before David got up the next morning, the word of the Lord had come to Gad the prophet, David's seer. "Go and tell David, this is what the Lord says. I'm giving you 3 options. Choose one of them for me to carry out against you." So Gad went to David and said to him, "Shall there come on you 3 years of famine in your land, or 3 months of fleeing from your enemies while they pursue you, or 3 days of plague in your land? Now then, think it over and decide how I should answer the one who sent me." David said to Gad, "I am in deep distress. Let us fall into the hands of the Lord, for his mercy is great. But do not let me fall into human hands." So the Lord sent a plague on Israel from that morning until the end of the time designated, and 70,000 of the people from Dan to Beersheba died. When the angel stretched out his hand to destroy Jerusalem, the Lord relented concerning the disaster and said to the angel who was afflicting the people, "Enough, withdraw your hand." The angel of the Lord was then at the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. When David saw the angel who was striking down the people, he said to the Lord, I have sinned. I, the shepherd, have done wrong. These are but sheep. What have they done? Let your hand fall on me and my family. On that day, Gad went to David and sent to him, Go up and build an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah, the Jebusite. So David went up as the Lord had commanded through Gad. When Araunah looked and saw the king and his officials coming toward him, he went out and bowed down before the king with his face to the ground. Araunah said, Why has my lord the king come to his servant? To buy your threshing floor. David answered, So I can build an altar to the Lord, that the plague on the people may be stopped. Araunah said to David, Let my lord the king take whatever he wishes and offer it up. Here are oxen for the burnt offering, and here are the threshing sledges of oaks for the wood. Your majesty, Araunah, gives all this to the king. Araunah also said to him, May the Lord your God accept you. But the king replied to Araunah, No, I insist on paying you for it. I will not sacrifice to the Lord my God burnt offerings that cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen and paid 50 shekels of silver for them. David built an altar to the Lord there and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then the Lord answered his prayer in behalf of the land, and the plague on Israel was stopped. Okay. So we got two descriptions here. So chapter 24, verse 10. Here again David sinned, but notice how sensitive his conscience was. He quickly admitted his failure. Even near the end of his life, David was clearly less than perfect. Yet he was greatly used and deeply loved by God. This reality should encourage all of us. No one is perfect. God never requires perfection. He looks for humble willingness to accept correction. God's grace is extended to everyone who comes to him without pretense. Chapter 24, verses 15 through 25. Once again, David's sin brought tremendous suffering upon innocent bystanders. Yet David responded properly and brought restitution. We leave him at his altar, his fellowship with God restored. We should be aware that the consequences of our sins and disobedience will touch the people around us. This is especially true when we are leaders. All right. So tomorrow we will start on 1 Kings, I believe. I'll double check that before we do it, but my wife gave me like a list of where to go and stuff after this and then. And I think I'll just read book by book. But, maybe next time we'll read it like strategically, like she does. But maybe next time. I do want to show you guys what I was smiling about, though. This is cute. Check this out. Look at that guy. Slickton. What a cutie. All right. So, dear God, we just come to you tonight just grateful for another opportunity to read your word, Lord. And I pray for you to strengthen me and get me through this sobriety challenge, Lord. And I just pray that you are able to make it easier for me to go through it, Lord, as I know sometimes drinking can be hard to step away from. I pray to you, Lord, that you may grab the demon that's keeping that above my head and bring him down so we can smash him together, Lord. I pray for my family's safety, Lord, and I pray for I pray for you to continue to just keep your hands over us, Lord. And I'm so grateful for the food that you've kept on our plates, Lord. I'm so grateful for you giving us safety and shelter, Lord. And couldn't be any more grateful, Lord. In God's name, amen. All right. Well, yeah. Chapter 1 of 1 Kings tomorrow. Mark it on your calendars. Just kidding. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Today was Tuesday. It felt a lot like a Monday. Like today felt more like a Monday than yesterday did. I will say that. So that's unfortunate, but maybe Wednesday will be better. Maybe. Have a good rest of your night.